Here we're gonna do a brief introduction to Probuilder and just make some basic shapes. Probably get involved in ProGrids too. And then maybe getting used to clicking play in the Unity editor and seeing what the environment looks like that you're creating around you. So this is the same scene that was left off from the other video. So a sample of a new scene, just has a camera on a light source, and you just have local avatar with grab in here. So we're going to go to window. Oh no, I don't need to. So tools. I'm just going to start with Probuilder, not introduce grids right now. So we're going to go down and just open up Probuilder window. And everything is going to be in here. So you don't need to worry about the rest of this right now. So notice when I open it up, I'm just going to move it over here for right now. It's a floatable window. And we have this kind of like little toolbar running up top here. So there's two parts to Probuilder. I'm going to, let's see, I wanted to figure out where I was going to dock this to. I think I'm just going to dock it over the inspector for right now. And hopefully I won't need the inspector while I'm using Probuilder. But notice that certain options are usable, are in black, and certain of them are grayed out, not usable right now. So this is context sensitive, and we'll show you based on what you're clicking on and using which options, what features you can use. So I'm just going to right click on the Probuilder window and show you that you can dock it, you can float it right here, and then which icons you want to see. You want to see them as text or as little icons like this. So whatever your preferences are, that's good for you. I don't use it enough to recognize the icons, so I'm just going to leave it in text mode. And let's see what we got here. So we got orange elements, we got blue, and we got green. So orange has to deal with like at the object level. Looks like blue is about selecting, and looks like green is like additional options like exporting and stuff. So for right now, we're just going to focus on the orange. Kind of you start off here. This is like the object creation area. And normally what I do is the real basic one, new shape. So when you click on that, you get this shape tool will pop up. So now we have almost four things that we're going to have to keep track of right now. We have our little toolbar up here. We have this object that was just created. We have this shape tool, another window, and we have our original kind of Probuilder window. Looks like I can just pop it right here. So we have two, Probuilder window, we have the shape tool here. So it says show preview. This shape actually doesn't really exist right now. So whenever they're light blue like this, it's almost like to show you all these different shapes that you can select, give you like a visual representation of all your options before you actually pick the option. So for right now anyway, it's a cube. And we have stairs. Just rotate the view a little bit. A prism, a cylinder, a plane, a door already kind of pre-made for us, a pipe, a cone, a sprite, which is a 2D graphic. Notice that's just like a little rectangle. An archway. And Mike, was it icosahedron? Let's see if I got that right. Torus and custom. Looks like you can actually maybe type in your vertices, almost like a procedural mesh generation. So anyway, I'm gonna go back to cube. Notice how these kind of options were changing. So this is the dimensions of a cube. This is 1 by 1 by 1. We're in meters. So notice I can scrub the value on the X, the Y, and the Z. Notice as it's becoming bigger, like the texture on it is staying with the object. That's a pretty advanced feature. Normally this, it's actually kind of rebuilding the UVs and applying the texture really nicely. And later on, we're going to have to get a little bit more talk of UVs and textures maybe. But normally you want your dimensions to be a rounded an integer. And it'd be nice to, when you have it, you can click build. But I'm going to check inspector real quick. I just want to see. Okay, so we have our material applied to it, this kind of bluish um, texture that comes with Probuilder. Yeah, we have a mesh renderer and our transform. So it looks like we're not really supposed to use the inspector right now until we're happy with building this. So once we pick the shape and we select the options on it, we click build. And once we build that, notice how it becomes gray. And just wanted to make sure if I zero out this position, I just want to, yeah, it is okay. It is accurate. It was kind of floating in space a little bit, but I know that 0, 0, 0 should be right in this world space 0. So this is accurate. Now our transform's working well. And notice how I can just like kind of slide it all over the place with decimal numbers. And that's where ProGrids comes in for quick snapping. I think these days I hold the V, or I think there is a snapping hotkey. Just not sure right now that Unity is trying to get a little snapping in. But this is where ProGrids comes in when you want stuff to be snapped together for level building. So I can place my little pivot point in different spots. So I saw that I wanted to show you as I move this around. Notice we have this preparing to bake and baking out here. So this is what happens when the light gets built out for the level. Anytime you're editing geometry, um, you're going to get this situation that if you place something or bring it in the scene or edit it, look how it's always baking. So I'm going to go to Window and Rendering and Lighting Settings. And I don't know why by default auto generate lighting is on. I think it's because people just don't get into the lighting system till later on as they work in Unity. So to make things easier, Unity turns on like auto bake the texturing. But the issue with that is that it can really slow you down. When you have a lot of models in here and you're just trying to move something, or you move this light source or something, this is going to happen. So normally this will slow you down. It's picking out these light maps that. So this is why it's like nice and shiny on this side, dark over here, because it's figuring out how the interaction of our light source, this directional light, is interacting with all the different sides of our geometry. So really bright up top, really dark at the bottom, and so on. But I'm just building out the level. I'm not even worried about like a final lighting solution or the look and feel for users or anything like that. So I'm going to turn this off and close the lighting window. And when I do that, I can move stuff all over and I'm not getting that update because it's not concerned about keeping the lighting up to date. So actually it's part of the lighting system is real time. So you notice as I'm rotating it, it's being lit on the whatever side's up. So it's good enough. Um, and we're not really getting into the details of how the lighting system is working. But again, it's window, rendering, lighting settings. And if you ever wanted to like finalize, you have a bunch of like interior lights, so you built out your level and you really want to see how it looks, you just click on this generate lighting here. But for all this crazy modeling that we're doing, turn that off. Um, and looks like, okay. V key is moving the pivot point, snapping it, and I pressed it again to get out of it because I noticed that the pivot point kept popping around when I was moving my mouse cursor, and that was a little irregular. So you can say, oh, that's great, I'm going to move this wall over here. That's a good start. And this was the move tool. I kind of talked about these in the 3D class, and you can press the E key for rotate. Now we have 3 axi that we can rotate on. And press the R key for scaling. But the trick is you really want to notice how I'm stretching out my texture. So the trick is you really want to build these objects within Probuilder, and then I'll show you how to modify them later. So when you start with, you're going to want to say, oh no, I want a wall that's 6 meters long and 4 meters high and 2 meters thick. But if you don't like that, it's very easy. You just delete it and go back to your Probuilder and say new shape. I did no, the wall was wrong. I want it to be 10 meters, 1 meter thick, and just 2 meters high. Turn on show preview. Sorry about that. I'm going to turn that on to see how this object is updating based on the numbers you're putting in. So this is the options that it gives you for a cube. Notice that it's blue. We're still in construction mode. I'm going to build it and move it over, and then say I click on show preview. It's a quick way to say I want to build another object. Then you can move to say the staircase. You can, I'm going to move around so you can see it better. You can get more stairs in the diagonal on it. You can make it a curved stair. You can increase the width, the height, the depth, what have you. You say, this is my stair, it's perfect, build it, move it into place, or move it with snapping or what have you. Let's see how it's kind of annoying to like play if you did want to place it perfectly against there. This is what the grids, the pro grids is going to come in handy. Anyway, these are stairs. And see how quick it is to just start building stuff and start laying it out. Notice like this is a very advanced form to build from scratch. So, and there's a lot of these architectural features are used a lot in level design and level prototyping. So notice how like it's what Probuilder is great for. So you can get your students can create a lot of interesting ideas very very quickly, and they don't need to be introduced to a new package, a new learning curve, a new interface. You really don't want all that. Let's say I like these stairs. I'm going to actually jump to a plane, show preview. I'm going to make it much bigger because this is really my floor plane. And I'm just going to drop it down to 0, 0, 0. So I need to move it over here a little bit. I really was concerned about the Y being 0. This is the floor of my room. So I'm going to build that. Notice how these objects are floating a little bit. So I can just pop their Y down to 0. So their pivot location or where they're oriented is like usually at a little corner. So the good thing is you press 0 and they just kind of pop down on the floor. And let's move on to something else. Let's make a prism. So maybe this can be the top of my wall over here. All I gotta do is kind of see if I rotate it 90. And I think my wall was like 2 units. Not, it's like 1 unit. Oh no, this is the height of it. So let's say this looks about good. Maybe 5 units long. Build it. Pop it down on Y2. Looks like it needs to be 2 units up. Good there. Center it up, or do it precisely later on with ProGrid. Let's see, we got a cylinder. Let's test this one out. So we have a radius. We have the number of sides. So this is going to happen a lot in games, and cylinders are a great example of this because they're used a lot. Is that when you have a low number of sides, let me just say like 8, you have this very polygon or low quality look to it. These days it's become popular. It's called low poly. And you're never going to get real curves in computer graphics. You just have more number of linear sides, linear lines that make it look more and more like a curve. That your eye gets tricked. There's only certain resolution on your eye to tell the fidelity. So if you look away, this looks like a pretty regular curve to it. So in games anyway, you usually want to keep this down low. So let's just maybe like 20. You can still tell it's a little faceted, but it's low res enough for a game. So what else do we have? The height of it, the height segments, which you don't see because they're not defining any new changes in the geometry, but if we change our view to shaded with wireframe and see the actual wireframe of the object, and let's increase our height segments. So you're seeing that there's more what they call edge loops, edges that continually run around the entire cylinder created for you. And later on, when we do modeling, this will be useful. So for now on, I just say, hey, I'll take 2 height segments, so I have this kind of section in the middle. That's fine. We drop it down on the floor, and we can keep going on. You can experiment with all these. So what I want to do at this point is, let's say I'm happy with this. I want to see what it looks like in VR. At this point, if you're happy with it, let me just try generating the lighting and seeing if it, I don't know if it's going to change. Oh, it looks like you need to save the scene first. I'll say File, Save Scene. We'll go into our scenes and say VR viewing test. I'm not interacting with anything. I just want to view into the environment. What type of experience? The smallest amount of a VR experience is really this passive mode. Can I just look out into the world? And here I'm going to click, I've saved the scene. I'm going to click Generate the Lighting. Notice how it's saying some stuff down here. It's baking stuff out. My computer's whirling away. I'm sure you can hear that. Hopefully it won't crash my computer. It's kind of loud. So we have an ETA of 1.5 minutes. Trucking along. This is why you only do baking once in a while. Do not do it a lot. Turn it off. I just want to show you what a light baking process and what it can do, how long it takes, and really, you have to do it at least once to do your stuff. So my jet engine kind of quieted down a little bit. Looks like I'm almost done. I don't know if I'm thinking about it. I think it's because I'm screen capturing. I don't have anything else open. It really shouldn't take this long to bake out lighting for just like 4 or 5 objects. But I'll show you 2 once for educational purposes. All right, so job is done. It's gonna create some files for us. And just so that it is that bright. It took that long to show the same thing. That's great. So let me close this all. I want to show you under scenes, and we call it VR viewing test. It creates a folder underneath where your scene is sitting, and this is the light map. So I'm just going to click. I have one light source, and it's really not that bright. I mean, the color's a little yellow. And I think it's the textures that Probuilder is using. Let me just try. I'm going to try lowering the light intensity just a little bit. Okay, it's just too blown out for me. I'm going to do 0.5. Let's just say we're happy. It's great. You can bake out the lighting again if you want to, but I'm not going to waste another 1.5 minutes. I will save the scene so that it doesn't crash and I lose all this work. So let's say this looks good. I'm going to click on the game view. So I'm going to zero out the avatar. So these numbers are going to get updated, real time when you click play, and the head's going to be moving around. But if you kind of want it, maybe just move it like 1 meter. Oh, I'm sorry, not in a Z. Right now it's sitting at 0, 0, 0, like right in the floor plane. You can just like move it up 1 unit, at least get a kind of an idea for what it's going to look like for the user, and then you can just click play, put your headset on. And here I am in the world, and I'm looking around. My hands are sitting there because I haven't picked up the controllers. But
I can actually view my level, so fast. And then you can have conversations with your students about design ideas. Like, for example, here I have this curving stairs, and it's making me curious what's behind it. I've got this wall. Well, it's a stair sitting in the middle of nowhere, but in this angle where I'm viewing, it looks like a wall, and then I have this curved staircase off to my left, and it's making me curious. It makes me want to go around the corner. So you can have those talks. What as we're building out these VR levels, these VR experiences, what does it feel like to be a user in VR? So now we're kind of moving from that kind of sprint one, that first stage, how to just be a user and understand like what it's like to use this hardware. And now you saw how quickly it was for me to just build a little scene to start looking around. Yeah, all the textures are the same. They have this like prototyping texture on it, but you could actually create custom content, custom environments and worlds right now very quickly with your students, and then have conversations. Like what does it mean to be in this this environment with these objects, this like this curving staircase and this little pyramid rooftop, and then as you kind of use these modeling tools out more. Real briefly, maybe I'll just extrude something, but I was going to end this lesson pretty quickly. You can see how fast it is to like move into a design phase of talking of building these worlds. So real quickly, I'm gonna close the shape tool because we're not using it anymore. I'll pop over to Probuilder. We've built a bunch of shapes. That's great. That's the first step. Now this is object mode. Notice they're all sitting over here in our hierarchy. And notice I can click over to vertex, edge, face, or what are known as components of 3D objects. This object, look over here on the right, what options are available to you through ProBuilder. And look as I click on each one, how they change. You have different options now. So I'm just going to click on my cylinder and notice how there's a little vertex at each little corner, and I can select them and move them. And I can undo that. And so the core, the base of a 3D model are these little coordinates called vertices. And they have a X, Y, and Z location, and they are the base unit, the base component of a 3D model. It takes two vertices to make an edge. And notice how the lighting is on this is getting screwy. And this is where you're going to have to rebuild your lighting. Let's not worry about it right now. Do whatever you want with it, and then we'll rebuild lighting later. But I'm moving this edge. I can rotate an edge, and I can scale an edge. And if I went and selected, notice how I jumped from edge to vertex actually selects the two. But if I click off them and just select the two, rotating and moving and scaling is just like selecting that edge. And then a face. So two vertices is needed to make one edge. You need four edges and four vertices to make a face. And notice you can do the same thing. You can scale it, rotate it, and move it. And that's great. You'll be able to do that to start making these primitive geometry more customized, unique to whatever the experience is. But I'm just going to select this face and say select face loop. And notice how it goes around and selects the whole loop. Quads are super important. Quads are rectangle. In modeling, notice up top there's triangles. You try to stick with quads as much as you can. And I'm just working with primitives that are already given to me from the package. And all I want to show you in this video, which is used a lot, is extrude faces. So notice it pushed all those faces out. It made more geometry. So what I'm going to do is click the plus sign. And this is saying push it out a half a meter. So it's already done for me, but you can change this. You can say, no, I just want to extrude you out maybe 0.1 tenth of a meter. And then it's common to also like scale it and stuff. So not only did I extrude it out, but then I kind of scaled it down
Now if I click off it, and actually let me get out of shaded wireframe, here's a whole new shape I made as part of this VR experience. Now, again, the lighting looks funky, but if you go through and click rebuild the lighting or generate lighting, whatever it was called, generate lighting, it'll clean this all up for you. I'm not going to click it again. I don't feel like you're sitting through a minute and a half of an engine noise. Anyway, for this video, I'm just going to save the scene and I'll return back to this tool later.